All right, now we're going to take a look at animations, and we'll go into our code here and close this transition example and create a new animation. I'll just copy this and put it 029 animation, and we'll pop all that open and split vertically. And so we have the hover effect. Now we want to animate that. And so we could leave that hover, right, the transition. And we'll do an animation. So with animation, we have these different ones. We have the shorthand property, and then we have all these different ones. And so we'll start off with the animation name. I like Waka Baka. And then we have to do the at keyframes, Waka Baka. And then we could do 0% is going to be this, and 100% is going to be that. And then we just need to code in the other stuff. And so we have animation duration. Let's do 4 seconds. And animation direction. And we could do alternate. And animation duration, name, iteration count, we could do infinite. And animation timing function, we'll do linear. And animation, so we have iteration, direction, duration, name, no delay, play state, fill mode. If we were stopping it, stop in like the forward state. And then timing function, we got that. So it looks like we got everything. And if we go and we look at MDN animation, and it's amazing, right? Like, I haven't thought about transitions in animation since May. It's like when this course ended in the spring. And then we came back in here last week, and I'm like, oh yeah, how do you do this? And then we spend a little time with it, and then we come back today, and it's like, boom, 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 right? How many people feel like, oh, more familiar, easier today? It's kind of sat in the brain for a week. It's kind of cool how that works. So here we have the animation shorthand, which is name, duration, timing function. We don't want delay. Iteration count, which we're going with infinite. Direction, we're doing alternate, and we don't worry about fill mode, and play state is just it's already on. So now we just need to define what we want it to do. And there's an example here at MDN. Right here, where they are changing, they have 4 seconds linear, 0 second delay, I guess, infinite, alternate, and move I, and then that's giving this, which is kind of cool, right? And they have a little CSS for that. They call it the Cylon I, like some robot or something. And then their keyframes, right? It's called move I, so they have at keyframes. And these are vendor prefixes. When you see like WebKit or something like that, right? It's like a polyfill, or it gives some compatibility with some browsers for older issues. And the reason that vendor prefixes originated is that people who build the browsers wanted to give developers like, hey, this is what's coming. You can access it by putting a vendor prefix there. But then developers said, oh, that's awesome, and they just started using it in production and putting the vendor prefixes so that the browsers would use it for everybody. And so now browsers no longer give new coming features to developers to play with that way. It's actually a check. So you could go to like Chrome, turn on, vendor, turn on new features. And there's like some place you could go to, experimental features enable in Chrome's lab. Best experimental Chrome features you should check out. Just looking how to turn them on. It's like, let me search for Chrome. Wow, it's mentioned a lot in this article. Chrome flags, here's where we go. All right, so now you can no longer do them with vendor prefixes. You have to go through and turn them on and off here. You see you have all these different things. And so mostly you just say, let other people figure that out. Let me code with what's here today. But that's why we have vendor prefixes like this right here, because there was that transition period where they did it that other way. All right, so here they're going from and to with the keyframes, at keyframes, but we could also do animation at keyframe. So we'll do at keyframe, MDN, and at keyframes. And we could do from and to, margin left, margin left. That's kind of cool. Or you could do the 0, 30, 60, 70, 8, 100, right? You could do those. So you could do from or to, or 0% percentages. And so here I'm doing this, and I like that margin left. Margin left will be negative, and I made it 200, so I'll make this 220. Margin left will be negative 220 pixels. And so this is just like another, we have a rule set which has selectors, and then a declaration block which has declarations, which are property and values. It's like another declaration block, right? And then here's the next one. So if you break it out a little bit more, maybe it looks a little less codey and it's a little bit more organized. And you could do margin left on this one, margin left on this one of, I don't know what my screen is. My screen is probably, I have no idea. Let's see if it tells me at OBS what my resolution is. I don't see it there. So I'll just do 1500 pixels and we'll see what that looks like. And so that should start out margin left of negative 200, right? So off the left side. And then it should go to 1500. And that is being applied to this div. So I don't know if this will work. Let's see. Whoa. And that's almost to the other side. That's cool, right? Just margin left. But you can see that, like, that actually is rendering it better up there on the screen than on mine, but it's a little bit clunky, right? So how would you get things to be smooth instead of, and that's where, like, one of the guys that works on Greater Commons with me, like, he'll obsess, like, he has a high attention to detail. And he's like, why is that not rendering well? How do I get that to render well? So on my screen, it's really breaking up, but on that one, it's doing pretty well. And then, you know, look at different ways you could implement it so it doesn't do it. So when you do have it, like, watch the animation here. Beautiful, isn't it? I have no idea what's going on. Why is that taking 10 seconds like it's 1997? Maybe I just need to hit refresh. My server's getting too much. You see that nice little lift right there, right? Mm-hmm. All right, like, how do I get the animation to look smooth? And skills and knowledge, you know, so that stuff coming up and then disappearing, right, of fading out. You know, and the rising as opposed to the sinking, subconsciously you're conveying something very different with a rise as opposed to a sink, right? Going to heaven versus going to hell. Being inspired versus being depressed. All right, so there's your next little animation. And get your ball to move across the screen.